it's been very easy in the last year to have that one hit. Yeah. So usually what you'd see in traditional financial markets, you would have someone say, hey, I picked this share and it went up 1,000%. And people are like, wow, he picked that share. So last year, pretty much every digital currency went up 1,000%. So it didn't take a genius to sort of figure out what was going to happen.
Do you want to earn more? Work less and enjoy what you do each day. It's no secret, it can be done. This podcast with Dr. T will not only educate and inspire you, it will also teach you how to do more and be more with the time you already have. It will be like a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of your business. Here is your host, Tyson Franklin.
Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin and welcome to It's No Secret with Dr. T. Now today I'm actually on site. I'm not doing this from my home studio. I've gone out and I'm visiting a business called MASSBLOCK. And I've got two guys with me, Ben August and Jamie Baker. And today we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies, which I honestly don't know too much about. So we're going to learn heaps today. So guys, how you doing?
Hello, Tyson.
Very well, thank you.
So you pumped for today?
Very pumped.
Yeah, excited.
Okay, so as I said before we started recording, that I know nothing about cryptocurrencies, but I keep hearing everything in the news about it. Can someone please just give us a brief rundown on what it is?
So cryptocurrencies is hard because there's so much involved in even cryptocurrencies and blockchains itself that you can get carried away trying to explain one thing, and you may, let's say each facet has, an hour's topic to try and understand that one facet, but it sometimes doesn't actually bring you any closer to understanding what it actually is.
That's confusing.
That's why it can become quite hard and difficult. And what we find is there's a large learning curve of someone that says, okay, I want to buy my first digital currency or I want to understand blockchain. Usually I would say the learning curve can be about 3 months of you reading every single day and going over it every single day. But to go from the beginning, so the first digital currency...
So is blockchain a digital currency? Bitcoin was just one part of a digital currency.
So the digital currency part is what's built onto the blockchain. So the blockchain itself is a ledger that can't be broken, can't be undone, because it is verified by multiple decentralized sources. So if you said that we did a transaction, you and I, so Tyson gave Ben 1 Bitcoin, that transaction would go to form a block of multiple transactions, and then it would be verified. And once it is verified that it is correct and adds up to the exact same amount as the previous block, then it is locked in and can't be undone or changed. So no one can go back in that and say Tyson and Ben's transaction didn't happen.
That almost makes sense.
Now it is there.
We're sort of getting quite deep, but the best way to think of blockchain is the underlying technology that sort of powers cryptocurrencies. And it's important to sort of think about the fact that it's not just cryptocurrencies that utilize this technology. There are other applications for this technology. Cryptocurrencies is probably the most ubiquitous and well-known technology that's built on top of blockchain. But there are many other applications. And so a good way to think about blockchain is it's fundamentally a different way to think about trust, right? That's the key thing. Blockchains remove the need for a third party to verify information between two people. It's a way to build a network that is decentralized and that everybody who participates in that network, everybody who's part of that network participates in securing the network, so that I can transfer information or data or currency or a value from me to you in a peer-to-peer manner without a third party or a middleman to process that transaction. A good example is to think about the way that your pay cycle works with your bank, right? Yeah. For example, your employer on a weekly basis will pay you your wage. They send that from their bank to your bank, trusting that the bank will fulfill their duty and deliver that to your account.
Oh, so you can't always trust a bank?
Well, I think we're sort of starting to see, particularly with the recent sort of Royal Commission and some of the things that have happened in the world in recent years. We obviously saw in Greece quite recently that citizens couldn't withdraw their own money from the ATM. So I think it is something that people are concerned about, is this idea of trust and who owns my assets.
So long term, cryptocurrencies are built around trust.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it.
And you're not using third-party providers like banks that, hey, I'm going to give you my money and I hope you're going to give it back to me in 5 years' time when I'm about to retire. I want to get all that money out and travel around the world, and all of a sudden that bank is gone, like what happened in Greece.
In the beginning, so we're in the growing pains of now taking you from having a bank to creating you being your own bank. Which has problems because with the blockchain, there is no after-hours phone call service or help desk that you can ring up and say, I tried to transfer Jamie $100 and I accidentally transferred it to a different $100 wallet, and that's it.
How do I get it back?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't get it back.
That's right. Or if you have, so with your wallet being one of the other facets of where you would actually hold said digital currencies, you have actual keys to that wallet. So if the easiest way to explain it for people that don't really understand, let's just say like all the coins are up here in the sky. Yep. Now, you don't actually have that coin in your wallet. What you actually have is you have a cryptographic key that allows you access to that coin. So that coin becomes yours. You can transfer a part of that coin or that whole coin to someone else. But your key is like to that coin now. Like
that makes sense.
You've got access to that. So what can happen is if you lose the key, that coin still exists in that wallet, just nobody have access now forever.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's been, I'm not sure how many Bitcoins have been lost. I think Jamie probably knows
I
more.
couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
There would be probably 1 million Bitcoins that.
So, but the value of, say, a Bitcoin, for example, how come the value goes up and down? So if I buy one for $10,000, a Bitcoin, but the value of a Bitcoin can actually fluctuate up and down.
That's right.
So sometimes, you can invest 10,000, next thing it could be 20,000.
Yeah.
And then you can access that money and transfer it wherever you want.
There's probably a couple of factors at play there. One is that we are very, very early, and some of these hurdles like this, the difficulty in using the system or the inability to recover lost assets, these are all factors. These are all sort of components of the fact that we are still developing this technology. We're still figuring some of this stuff out.
Is this where MASSBLOCK, your company, comes in? Is this where you're training people on how to do it, or you're doing it for them?
So we're creating tools for traders at the moment, because the space is expanding and growing at lightning speed, and because there is thousands of different cryptocurrencies being one part of the whole blockchain space.
So Bitcoin is just one
of 3,000 different digital currencies.
Why did it get so much notoriety? Did it sort of rob a bank or something at one stage?
Because it was the beginning. It's become the gold as to the digital area. So let's say with gold at the moment holds value because people see, okay, that's like, a natural source of where we started, but you can't go and buy a coffee with it because, they won't accept it, or even if they did, it'd be very slow and we have to try and find out what it's worth. So Bitcoin, being the original, being the one that everyone did use, is actually quite slow in terms of transaction rate. And so people use faster digital currencies. We should wait for this.
And we have a train going past, which I think is pretty cool. This is the best thing about being on site.
Yeah.
This is fun. So yes, where we are at the moment is in Cairns, and there's a train about to go past, which I think is pretty cool. We can keep talking. It adds atmosphere.
Coranda Rail.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Quick plug.
So that made sense though. So Bitcoin is popular because it was the first one, and everybody. And that's when you're talking to people like myself who know nothing.
Yep.
We keep hearing Bitcoin.
That's right.
But there's thousands of them.
There is demand for it because it has become an on-ramp to get into the digital currency space. So when people first hear about digital currencies, they'll hear about Bitcoin first. So it's like, okay, I want to buy my first Bitcoin. And most of the time, to most places, not now anymore, but before, you had to buy Bitcoin first before you went trading on an exchange or started the process of purchasing other coins.
So it was like your intro. You had to
That's right.
via Bitcoin to get to other online currencies.
Yes. So in that said, people still see it as the safe haven as in the major currencies. So if the market is having troubles, people will go back to Bitcoin or back to normal.
What makes it fluctuate? What makes a Bitcoin be worth 10,000 one day and then 12 the next, and then it drops to 8? What makes it go up and down so much?
One huge part of that is speculative investment. The fact that people are buying it to trade or buying it as a speculative investment. So there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of obviously with the rise in price last year brought a lot of new people in.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is a fixed supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins.
Okay.
It's a fixed number, and they're released slowly over time. So there is some scarcity or some demand created by the scarcity as more and more people enter the space. There isn't more and more Bitcoins available. For that reason, Bitcoin, for example, is divisible down to 8 decimal places. So you don't need to buy one whole Bitcoin.
How much? So one whole Bitcoin might be worth, say,
$10,000, say, for example.
And what'd you say? There's 21 million of them.
There's 21 million of them. There will be 21 million. There's 17 million at the moment, and they're being released sort of slowly over time to create sort of a deflationary effect.
Okay. So some people are buying them purely just they're getting in and getting out just to try and make a profit.
And that's the appeal of a truly global digital currency. It sort of plays into the price fluctuations a little bit as well, in that we don't have that great network effect yet that's needed to create a stable currency. And you can see that with other currency markets. When you don't have the usability, or the currency isn't being used at a great enough level, you don't get the stability in the currency to that people are looking for. So that I think that fluctuation in price will even out as we start to see more and more people using the currency as a currency rather than as a speculative investment from day to day.
Okay, so that'll take time.
That's correct.
Yeah, it'll take time for people to get comfortable with it. So someone like myself who doesn't know anything about it, and you get a bit nervous, so you just stay away from it. But eventually it will start getting just positive news. It'll be like when we probably first started using ATM machines, that you can actually get a plastic card, go on the wall, pull money out. Now our grandparents great-grandparents would look at that and just think that's just crazy. So this will be exactly the same thing.
The reason why digital currency aren't being used as much is the tools. There aren't the tools out there to make it simple for me to either purchase or use my digital assets yet. So the easiest example that I've come across with so far is that when the first car was designed, it was designed with reins.
Yeah.
And that made sense. Could have been steering horses for thousands of years with reins. So, it kind of makes sense. It wasn't until I think 3 or 4 years after that someone actually invented the steering wheel, but the car had iterated in those 3 and 4 years.
I didn't know that.
So everyone was focused on iterating the car, but the tools to actually steer it took a long time to actually get perfected.
It's a good analogy to what you're talking about with the whole cryptocurrencies. Is we're just not. It's new.
Yeah. So everyone is trying to make the cryptocurrency better, as in, because there's 3,000 different digital currencies, they're all got different assets and different abilities. But the tools is the part that's being forgotten, because everyone's like, oh, the blockchain, let's make more blockchains, kind of like the car, let's make more cars. It just takes a while for people to go, hold on a second, the tools we're using in this space kind of don't make sense. So we're using banking system type tools where you're managing your private keys that you could lose everything. Until that gets better, we are still early days. I have a lot of people say to me, am I too late to get in? Am I too late to get in? I said, until it is easy for your grandmother or grandfather to go and pay for a coffee in digital currencies, we are still very early, because we haven't even figured that out yet. We haven't even figured out the scalability of a lot of these blockchains and how the coins are actually going to be used and everything like that. So we've still got a long way to go. So it's about the tools, and that's what we do. So we are trying to make one part of the tools better, which is mobile trading and mobile tracking of your actual portfolio. Because once you've bought your first Bitcoin, you'll be like, oh, I want some Ethereum too. I've heard that's quite good. And then you'll go from Ethereum to Litecoin, and then you'll hear of Icon and all the different other coins, but they're not on all the same exchanges. So let's say the top 3 exchanges, on average, I think they only have 60 to 70 different coins. But there's 3,000 different coins, and 1,700 of them actually have trading volume.
So will eventually they come down to only having like half a dozen coins? Will they eventually merge, or will there always just be more getting added, as long as there's a way you can transact with them?
We would like to think so, but I guess what it's come down to is that, it's very easy for Doug, who has the pizza shop on the corner, to create Doug's pizza shop coin. and that you get rewards for using that coin. Now, there's going to be people in that general area that are going to go and buy pizzas from there and get Doug Pizza Shop coins for buying pizza coins. For buying pizzas. Now they've got these Doug Pizza Shop coins and they're not going to use them all, but they'll want to be able to trade them. Kind of like flybys. We've all got those, flybys that we don't use, but you can't trade them. We're moving into the point of where the flybys, not particularly flybys, but where that particular type of token or asset can actually be traded now. So if anything, the problem's only going to get worse. We're only going to have more and more digital currencies as the coffee shops and everyone else comes on with their own different coin to represent their value that they have. And thank you for coming. And here's like an extra token for coming and using my shop. 4 of these get you a coffee. People will want to be able to sell those. And this is what this space allows you to do. Be able to transfer that to someone else.
So is MASSBLOCK your business? Your company, is it there to help people like me get involved in cryptocurrencies, or you're there creating tools for cryptocurrencies to be able to trade with?
Right now, our primary focus is building tools for traders, and that's because that's the background that we come from and the background that we came to this space with. Right now, I think because of the fluctuation in currencies and the fact that there are so many of them, it really is, there is a large number of traders operating in this space. And as you said, Bitcoin is moving very, very quickly. The guys who are trading Forex or stocks are starting to look into this space a little bit and seeing this and going, okay, there's some profits to be made here. These are really exciting markets. You don't get these kind of movements in other markets. But these guys are used to a certain caliber of tool. They're used to a certain caliber of product that they use when they're trading day to day. And that caliber of product just doesn't exist in the cryptocurrency space yet. So for us as product people, we sort of saw this as an opportunity to say, okay, there's these guys in this space, they're struggling with being able to manage their trades, manage their assets, with the fact that they have to connect to so many exchanges is a really great example. Let's say you're trading shares here in Australia, you've got the ASX, you trade on the ASX, it's the one exchange for all the shares. Yeah. Right? With cryptocurrency, there's over 240 different exchanges. They also have different assets on them. The average trader in the space has accounts with 6 of these exchanges. And so that's 6 accounts, 6 sets of passwords, 6 different apps, 6 different logins that you're managing just to manage your day-to-day operations to trade in this space. So what we're doing to tackle that is building an app that connects to cryptocurrency exchanges. So you can plug in your 6 different accounts and you can manage your account across all of those accounts from the one app, from the one place. So it's about fixing the problems for people in this space who are struggling with managing a portfolio of digital assets.
Okay, and when you fix that problem, and you said, and then my grandmother knows how to use it really easily to go and buy a coffee, that's when you think it'll become commonplace that people will just start trading in cryptocurrencies.
We are fixing a certain part of the market that caters to more people who are in the space already and understand it. But as we fix these issues, other people or ourselves will come along and fix the other parts. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. Okay. At the moment, the puzzle is very hard to understand. But as the puzzle gets, as more pieces go in, the puzzle makes more and more sense. And that's what we do. So we're putting one piece of the puzzle over here, helping traders manage a portfolio of digital assets across all their exchanges and all their wallets in one place, so they're not fragmented and they don't have to log in via their computer or have manual entries and stuff like that. So that's one part of the puzzle. To make it easier, yes, wallets is another part of the puzzle. And then there's we've got a full roadmap of things we're going to be adding into this.
So there's other people working in other areas in this, and eventually all these pieces of the puzzle will come together and we're going to be a big happy world.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the vision, right? I mean, it's a truly global digital currency has really powerful ramifications. I believe to not only for travel and tourism and those kinds of things, but the whole idea of a digital currency is the fact that it's a digital currency is what we call a bearer asset, right? It's like gold or silver. It's something that you hold, that you own. It's not like your shares, which are held on a share registry that are on somebody else's computer. I physically control this asset, and I alone am the one who dictates where it moves and how I spend it. I think that in this age where people are sort of concerned about who owns their assets, and when I say assets, I don't mean just currency, or I don't mean money. I'm sort of talking about things like your data. Right now we're seeing these things with the Facebook and the Cambridge Analytica and all these kinds of part of the new GDPR laws that Europe is rolling out at the moment is about me having control of my asset, of my data, being self-sovereign and saying, I am the one who is in control of who uses this data. I'm the one who is in control of how you use my data. I think there's a shift in the mentality around the world at the moment. People are moving towards being more responsible for their own assets. More so, this self-sovereignty idea is something that is sort of permeating the world at the moment. And I think cryptocurrencies play into that quite effectively. It's a very similar metaphor.
Okay, so picture the average man in the street or woman, and what do they need to do to start learning more? What would be the first steps? So someone like myself, who I don't take myself as being a dill, but like I said earlier on, I don't really know too much about it. I know a lot more now that you've explained it to me. Where should they start? Where should they start to actually start getting more information? Like going to your website and there's information there can be read, or the other places that you would suggest go and start reading these articles by this person, or where do they kick off?
It's a tough question because the reality is that at the moment the space is still so new, and we still haven't solved some of these issues that sort of make it makes it difficult to recommend, say, a mum and dad investor to sort of get into this space yet. It really is still very early, and some of this stuff is still being figured out. There is a large learning curve, I believe, that you need to sort of to get across to be able to operate safely and effectively in this space at this stage. So generally speaking, I mean, there's plenty of information out there on the internet, and if you want to learn about this stuff, I would generally start by learning about the blockchain and learning about the underlying technology, rather than just rushing to your nearest exchange to buy some bitcoins and figure out what to do
that's a good
with
point. So go and learn about what blockchain is and how that technology works. Understand it, because like I've got a few friends that I know have rushed off, gone down to Sydney and Melbourne and done these 3 and 4 day weekends about learning about cryptocurrencies, and they've spent thousands of dollars. And sometimes I look back at it and I sort of think, geez, who's making the money? The people who were digging for gold, or the person who was selling the shovels? And sometimes I think there's a lot of people out there who are making millions of dollars off of training people on stuff, but they're still too naive to really understand the technology.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is in this space that it does open up, because it is the Wild West, it does open it up to a lot of scams and a lot of charlatans to come in. There are some good Facebook groups out there that you can definitely follow. I know Alex Saunders is probably, I would say, a good voice to listen to from Nuggets News. Just look up his stuff. He's got a lot of good content, and anyone who's kind of associated with him, I would say you can trust. You've got to be very, very careful as to where the information is coming from and for what purpose.
Yeah.
Because if someone's saying buy this coin, you should never do that. Like I've had family members say, what coin should we buy? What I'll do is I'll usually give them a list of 10 coins, and I'll put some really bad ones in there. And I'll be like, here's a list of 10 coins. I want you to research them before you buy them, because I've put probably 3 or 4 really bad ones in there that you don't want.
That's really tricky, but I love where you're going with it. You're making them do some research and be able to identify what's crap and what's not.
Exactly. And as the space goes further and further forward, the information will get better. But it's kind of like when computers first came out, a lot of people, especially older people, were a bit like, this is really hard, because the first computers had a manual that was the size of an encyclopedia just to be able to use it. Now you pull an iPhone out of a box today, and it does probably 5 times what that computer could do, and it does not come with a manual.
50 times more.
Yeah, so it doesn't come with a manual. It only comes with I think it's just the
it's intuitive.
That's right.
It's designed that you should be able to use it, and we're just not at that. We're not at that part yet.
Plus, every grandmother has a 10-year-old child that can actually show them how to work it.
That's right.
Because they're born just knowing how to actually use an iPhone. But eventually, in 50 years' time, a 10-year-old kid will understand what cryptocurrencies are.
That's right.
It'll just be second nature to them.
So that's probably the key takeaways. Do your research first. Don't just rush into this. Make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, and just understand that you are playing in a space where it is still the Wild West. A lot of this stuff is still being figured out, and you need to be very careful about the decisions you make and the where you get your information from.
So if people want to, you guys are out and about talking to people about what you do?
That's right.
You're on the lecture circuit. I know you're running around. You're on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
How can people get hold of you guys?
Yeah, you can just reach out on Facebook, just like our page, MASSBLOCK. Visit our website.
MASSBLOCK.
That's right.
MASSBLOCK.
Yep. And the website is massblock.io. So if you just visit that, just reach out to us. You know, I find that the community is usually quite helpful. And if you do think that you're getting some bad information, just post that in some of the cryptocurrency Facebook groups and say, hey, someone's told me this. What do you think? There will be a lot of people that will comment and try and help you and guide you away from the bad stuff. But definitely reach out to either Jamison or myself, probably me, because I keep Jamie busy working on the code and making sure everything stays together. But yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions. And it is a learning curve. Don't feel that like, wow, this is too much. I don't want to learn. Moving forward, this will become part of your life. Digital currencies will be the way that the way the economy moves.
Well, this is what I've liked what you've said is it's a learning process at the moment. And I've sometimes felt like, oh, I'm on the sidelines and everybody else seems to know what's going on except me, and I feel like a bit of a dill. But it's good to know that very few people know what's actually going on.
That's right. And
it's something that will become more natural, just like using a key card to using an iPhone. Well, I put a computer in between there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, you know, when I remember when internet banking first came on, like how many people didn't want to use internet banking? They were like, oh
yeah, and yeah, no, I wasn't. I wasn't a fan of it. I was scared that hang on, someone would get my password and it's all going to be gone. It'll all disappear. Now, you wouldn't live without it.
Who goes into the bank?
It just takes time. It takes time for the tools to develop. It takes time for the knowledge to develop. And yeah, that's the important takeaway, is we are still very early to this space and a lot of this stuff is still being figured out.
Okay, so you mentioned before that they should start doing their own research, and there's a lot of places online, Facebook pages, get involved in groups like that. Go to your website, and there'll be information on there. Have you got any speaking gigs coming up in the near future that people can go along to?
Not that I've got locked in at the moment,
but people can book you for speaking gigs if they want to.
That's right.
Hey, let's get someone to come along. So Jamie, you do the behind the scenes. You crunch all the code.
Yeah, so I'm a software developer. Ben comes from a forex trading background, so between the two of us, we sort of make a pretty good team for tackling this space, which is very it's a very techie space, but it's also primarily based around trading at the moment.
Yeah.
So between the two of us, we do make a pretty good team, and we're more than happy to speak at your event, or if you'd like to know any more about us, as you said, massblock.io. We're massblock.io on Facebook and Twitter, and we're happy to talk. Yeah,
no, I think that's great. I reckon if anybody is wanting someone to come in and speak, get hold of you guys. Because I feel a little bit smarter now than when I arrived.
Yeah, we apologise to anyone that's listening that does understand the space, that like this was sort of like a little bit all over the place, because we all understand that there's so many facets to this. Like we haven't even got into mining and how the blockchain is secured and master nodes or any of those things, because they're all 20-minute conversations.
And you said that you could talk about each topic for an hour, and it's no different. Right. My background's podiatry.
Yeah,
I may be asked to come in and do a podiatry talk, and you're like, okay, I've got 30 years of knowledge behind me. I could talk, for 6 hours straight. Which part do you actually want me to talk about? And then I say heel pain. Okay, well, I could talk on that for an hour and a half. Which part of heel pain? So it's breaking it right down. So I know that we've only just scratched the surface. You said before I go, I just want to backtrack a little bit. You said before a friend came to you and said, what should I buy? And you said, here's 10 to look at. There's 3 dogs and 7 are okay. Do your research. Do people actually come to you with money and say, can you invest this for me?
We've been approached. I'm not a huge fan of investing other people's money for them.
Yeah.
I do know of some groups that will do that. And I do know that, maybe later on, well down the track, we may look into helping people on that journey. But at the moment, it is a tough one because it is so early. People get that fear if something goes wrong, and then they'll want to mess with the system. As in, we'll say, just buy these and hold them. And then we speak to them a month later and they've sold half of them because their friend told them to buy this other thing. And, it becomes quite difficult. So The easiest thing is just get in touch. We're happy to put you in touch with other mentors in the space that we can see. If you like the trading model, we can put you in touch with Trader Cobb, and you can start following his courses. If you want to keep up to date with what's actually going on in the space, we can put you in touch with Alex Saunders from Nuggets News, and those guys can keep you up to date, and they're very good people to talk to that you should get some good feedback from. But just reach out. I don't think you're going to find one thing from everything from any one individual. It's sort of like we'll help you along with certain parts of the journey.
Yeah, from our point of view, it's really about the basics. We're happy to sit down with you and show you how to secure, how to get involved in the space securely. But it's really about understanding the fundamentals before necessarily jumping down that rabbit hole.
And I think we keep seeing things on the news, or you have friends and they're talking about, I just made $10,000 in 2 weeks. You should sell your house and invest your whole house in this. And we keep hearing all the success stories, and you do hear of some massive failures as well.
That's right.
But I think these people are just jumping in, and they're gambling. Pretty much just like going down, putting money, putting $10,000 on the Melbourne Cup, and you pick the winner. It doesn't make you a racing genius.
That's correct.
And people are following the advice of some people just because they've had one hit. Yeah, it doesn't make one hit doesn't make you a super band.
It's been very easy in the last year to have that one hit.
Yeah.
So usually what you'd see in traditional financial markets, you would have someone say, hey, I picked this share and it went up 1,000%. And people are like, wow, he picked that share. So last year, pretty much every digital currency went up 1,000%. So it didn't take a genius to sort of figure out what was going to happen. A lot of them have come back, and some have even gone into negative from where that was.
That's good to hear.
So a lot went up. So I wouldn't just look at someone and say, oh, look, I can get you these returns. As soon as they say that, then just switch off straight away. There's no guaranteed returns. And anyone that says there is, you have to question if they have a system that guarantees returns.
Why are they sharing it?
Exactly. They would just go. They would go to CommBank. They would go to NAB, and they'd be say, "I have a system that guarantees returns." CommBank can write them a blank check, and you'd probably never hear from the guy again because he'd be so wealthy. People who are trying to sell systems to mums and dads, it begs to why sell to mums and dads for a couple of dollars, per thing or per bot or whatever it is. Yeah. If you could just go and sell it to CommBank, and then there's plenty of banks out there will pay for stuff, but they'll do their research properly and find out that you're just a charlatan. So the easiest method is just to do your own research and wade through it yourself. Just take it by time. Don't think you're going to become a millionaire overnight. The market is kind of creating that, but if anything, it's more by accident because we don't know which coin's going to be the one. Yeah. It's kind of like in the .com boom. We had all these websites coming out. Everyone was paying millions of dollars and millions of dollars for different websites, and we thought Yahoo was going to be the one, and then it was Google, and then we had the crash, and then we had Google come out of that, Facebook come out of that, Twitter come out of that, had some big businesses come out the other end, but everyone's forgotten about everything else. Yeah. We're in the same space now. We had the first run up in 2014 where Bitcoin went from sort of, a couple of $100 up to $1,200. And there was a lot of iterations of Bitcoin underneath that, different currencies. Now, they don't really exist anymore because they weren't the right ones. Bitcoin came back to about $300-400, and then end of last year went up to $27,000. And there's been a lot of iterations that have come out of Bitcoin since then as well. So we'll see a lot of coins disappear going forward. We don't know which is the one, and don't let anyone tell you this is the one because nobody knows. No one has a crystal ball. Yes, Bitcoin is the main one that everyone follows, and it could iterate itself to keep that, or it may be hampered and not be able to keep that. But we don't know which one is going to be it. We don't know which one's going to solve all the solutions in one spot, or even if that is even possible. Yeah. We may have multiple different currencies that all solve different parts of the solution, and you have to have an individual one of each one. So it's more about doing your research. Do you like the project? Do you like the team behind the project? And do you think they can deliver? And then saying, okay, well, what I'll do is if I've got, $10, I'm going to put $1 on each one. Okay. Yep. That's the easiest method. And then you don't know which one is going to be the right one. Or go, $8 and $2 on the one that you like the most, type thing, it's.
But I do like what you said. It's about the, when they had the whole tech boom and bust. Yep. And then we've had property booms and busts, and some person could buy a house worth $300,000 in Sydney at a particular time. Next minute, sell it for $1.5 million. Yep. And they can run around and tell everyone they're a property guru, but no, it was just timing.
Exactly.
Got in and got out at the right time doesn't make him a genius.
No.
So people are doing the same with, say, Bitcoin, for example. Got in, have made money, got out, and now they actually, sometimes they believe their own bullshit. That they actually think that they know what they're doing, and they don't.
Yeah, and we can't blame them. You know, like we can't blame them for feeling that way when you got in and all of a sudden made a mozza, overnight. But I think the important thing is just reaching out to people in the space like us or other people that you actually trust, not taking all their advice, but just using them as a sounding board. I'm thinking this, what do you think? And then different Facebook groups. There are a few that we follow, and if you reach out to us, we're happy to help you with that. Like Crypto Australia, they're very good. They also have a learning section in their group as well that you can join. To my knowledge, it is free, and they'll help you through certain parts. But reach out to us. We can give you that information and help you through.
Okay, cool. So Jamie, is there anything you'd like to say before we bring this conversation to an end?
As we said, there's so much to cover. We can't do it in one conversation. So,
but I think you've covered a lot. I think you've nailed exactly what I wanted to get out of this conversation, was understanding the basics.
Yeah, I would just say do your own research. Take that away. Do your own research. Make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into if you're interested in this space.
Yeah, I've got one more thing to add, and it's probably one important part where people say, like, what's the real use of a digital currency,
Yeah.
So if I went to transfer money from Australia to Japan, I would have to go through my bank, and my bank would go to the other bank, and you would get hit with fees from your bank, hit with exchange rate in the middle, and then hit with fees on the other side, right? So what you sent, depending on the amount, across to the Japanese bank, your friend over there, the difference would be a lot. There'd be some big fees. At the moment, I could transfer you, and I'm pretty sure this has already been done, $100 million or $100 million worth of Litecoin. The transaction was done. It was done in 40 seconds for 40 cents. So
that's not, how much was that again? 100 million?
100 million.
40-cent fee.
40-cent fee in 40 seconds, as in I just put your address into this, send, done. Now, the ramifications of that are huge because, if I no longer need a banking institution to be able to do that, where does that end? And then it also government bodies. If that is as easily done as I send you an email, how do you stop that? And then how do you track it too? So maybe we leave that open to the next conversation.
I reckon people who have listened to this today have just finished on that. And it's almost like when you're watching a movie and all of a sudden it ends and you go, oh, but what happens? So I reckon this is a really good spot to actually finish up. And I'd love to get you back again, whether it's like in 12 months' time, and see what changed from now over the next 12 months, what's new, and keep this as a regular thing, because I found this really, really interesting. I just want to tell people, if they want to find you, go to MASSBLOCK.io. That's the website. And you can track these two guys down on Facebook quite easily.
Yep.
I hunted you down this morning.
Mm-hmm. Well done.
So, Jamie and Ben, thank you for being on It's No Secret with Dr. T.
Thank you.
This has been fun.
Thanks for being here.
I feel smarter.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you got something out of that today listening to Ben and Jamie. I know I did. And like I said right at the beginning of the recording, that I knew nothing about cryptocurrencies except for what I'd read in the newspaper, and a few friends had shared some of the stuff that they've been doing. But my biggest takeaway point from this was when Jamie said, just do your research and don't rush in. And when Ben also said, and said it multiple times, it's the early stages. So if you haven't got involved in cryptocurrencies, don't feel like you've missed out. It's just the beginning. So Ben and Jamie, thank you again for being on It's No Secret with Dr. T. I really, really enjoyed this. So my guest next week is Glenn Richards from Australia's Shark Tank TV show. Here's a little snippet of what's coming up.
A lot of small business stay small because, one, they don't have a big vision for where they want to go. There's no mentor or peer mentor going on challenging their thinking on where they could get to. The other thing that I do bump into a bit is and it really bothers me, is an arrogance creeps in business and small to medium business when they're going well, and they start thinking they know it all. Stop listening, they stop going to workshops, they stop reading, and someone comes along or something comes along that blows them up.
Tuning in and listening to what Glenn Richards has to say and listening to some of his business advice, I tell you, is one episode you do not want to miss. So there's just two things I want to mention before I finish up. One is the event I'm holding in Cairns on the 17th and 18th of August, Communication, Persuasion and Influence. And Dave Fries is coming over from Pennsylvania, and he is the keynote speaker, and there's also going to be 7 local entrepreneurs talking. It is an event you do not want to miss. It's going to go for 2 days. Go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, for all the event information. And if you haven't liked this episode and you've been liking the ones in the past, please, if you get the chance, give us a review on iTunes or whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Okay, that's it for me. I will talk to you again next week. Look after yourself and look after your family. Bye for now.